Hello, welcome to our very first episode of J-Syd InstaLive, hosted by the Consulate-General of Japan here in Sydney. My name is Jessica, and I invite you to come join me to discover more about Japan and its amazing culture. For today's premiere episode, I am super excited to be joined by our very own Consul-General KIYA Masahiko. So give me 2 seconds while I invite him in for today's conversation. There we go. He'll be on any second. Hello, Consul General. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes, nice meeting you again. Well,
yes, nice to see you again.
This InstaLive for the very first time.
I know. Are you nervous?
A little bit, frankly speaking, because it's really the first time. My first experience.
It's mine too, so I'm a little bit nervous as well.
It's great.
But anyway, so I'm sure many people are quite interested to learn a little bit more about yourself. So can you tell me what it is that you actually do as the Consul General?
Yes, so I'm now serving as Consul-General of Japan in Sydney. Now here, I'm representing the government of Japan in relation to the New South Wales and the Northern Territory. And as a matter of fact, I'm also working for the consular affairs in New Caledonia. So those
in New Caledonia as well. I'm sure many people didn't know that we also have New Cal.
Well, it's fairly close, and it's an important place. So I'm very glad that I'm also in charge of that nice islands.
So I just have a question about New Cal. How's your French, Mr. KIYA?
Moi, je parle français. I do learn French. I'm still, it's because I got into foreign ministry because I got interested in the United Nations first, and I know that French is an important language.
Yes, so indeed it is.
Assigned English, and I was given 2 years of study opportunity in Britain. I continued learning French language, and it was very useful when I was in charge of African countries. So I did use a bit of French when I was when I was in charge of those places, because there are many Francophone African countries.
So you mentioned that you were in charge of African countries. So does that mean that you've had previous assignments before coming to Australia?
Yes. So starting, I entered the foreign ministry more than 30 years ago. So
wow, that's a long time.
Well, so after entering the ministry, I was given 2 years studying opportunity in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Then, apart from my work in Tokyo, I went around Nigeria and Washington, D.C., and Bangladesh, and Brussels in charge of Belgium and NATO, and then South Sudan as ambassador, and here in Sydney, quite a difference.
Wow, that's quite a variety of countries. So I wasn't counting them, Consul General. How many was that in total?
Well, the 6 places for work, in addition to my study in Britain.
So you've lived in 7 countries in total?
Indeed, after entering the foreign ministry.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I have only had the experience of living in 2 countries, that's Australia and Japan. But maybe one day I'll visit and live in as many countries as you have.
But among those countries, yes, Sydney and Australia in general, it's such a nice place.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad that you really enjoy Sydney. Actually, what were your first impressions coming here? Because I know that you haven't been in Australia for very long.
Yes, indeed. I've been to Sydney just once, in the 1990s for just a few days on my business trip. But the very first time to live in Australia, and since then, the very first time for my visit. And the first impression in Sydney, there is such I worked in the US. So when I was in Washington D.C., I traveled to say New York, and I had a business trip to Hawaii, Honolulu. So the first thing which I felt was that here it's a many skyscrapers in the city center in Sydney, but the surrounding beaches, like Bondi Beach, and those beaches around. So I like jogging, and so it's such in those city center and the resort places, they are in such proximity. They're very close to each other, and you can enjoy both in Sydney. That's my impression.
Yes, no, that's definitely true. I personally have only been in Sydney for a few months myself, and I always had this image in my head that Sydney was a big city and there was nothing else here aside from that big city life. But as you have said, we are actually very close to beaches and a lot of nature as well. So we get the best of both worlds here.
And I must add that since I came to Sydney, I made a visit to many places in the New South Wales and the Northern Territory. I went to Darwin, also Alice Springs and Uluru. And here in New South Wales, I made a visit to Dubbo and Goulburn and so Liverpool. I went to Liverpool also, and Hunter Valley. So many places, and so it's also very nice in the countryside. Great nature, and the Blue Mountain, of course. And
yes, the Blue Mountains are so beautiful.
Kaura is such a nice place, having strong relationship with Japan.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I heard you say in there that you have seen Uluru.
Yes.
Yes. What was your impression of Uluru?
Well, it's a thought-provoking. I felt that it has been the same for so many years. So I felt history of nature, and that it's some time. I felt sort of time because things are so busy in the city, but over there you look back on history and say human being and nature, and so then some sort of I felt the eternity. So it's an experience. In addition to the Aboriginal culture, which was well respected and maintained in a good way. So that's my impression about Uluru.
Yeah, wow. You know, as myself, I've been born and raised in Australia. I'm actually from the Northern Territory originally, and believe it or not, I have never seen Uluru yet.
It's such a must-see.
So you're...
I must say that
your impression of it makes me really want to go and see it even more.
I must add that in 2019, before COVID, the Japan was the number one country in terms of visitors to the Northern Territory. It's more.
Oh, really?
More than yes, indeed. So I think.
Oh, I didn't actually know that.
Japan has a strong connection with the Northern Territory, and I hope that after COVID, I hope that I like to work very hard so that such visitors from Japan will rise again.
I'm sure they will once we eventually get past COVID. Yes, Australia is a fantastic place to do tourism in, from your personal experiences as well. So I just want to touch base again about the previous countries that you've been to. Has there been anything interesting stand out to you in your memory?
Well, yeah, frankly speaking, all the countries have distinct characters, and the developed countries like say like Britain, the US, or Belgium. I think that's a lively place, and so many many say in Washington D.C. It's a center for so many things, including international organizations. And in Brussels, you've got the EU as well as NATO. So you see some lively discussions and interactions going on. But on the other hand, in developing countries, Japan is one of the major players to support those developing countries like Bangladesh or South Sudan, conflict-affected country. So it's real. I felt a sense of fulfillment to be part of the force to support peace and development based on self-reliance. And so I think those various countries have. I really enjoyed those experiences in different countries.
Yes, I'm so glad to hear that. I wish I had some of your experiences over there. Unfortunately, I don't, but maybe one day I will. So I just want to move on now to talk a little bit more about yourself.
Yes.
Because I'm sure everyone here really wants to learn a little bit more about you as a person. So you're from Japan.
Yes.
But whereabouts in Japan did you grow up?
Yes. I was born in Hakodate in the Hokkaido island in the north. Which is
okay, so
yes.
Hokkaido, for those who don't know, is the very top island of Japan.
Both my parents were born and grew up in Hakodate, Hokkaido. But when I was born, my parents already had moved to Tokyo, so I went back to my mother, so the hometown, to be born. But I was brought back to Tokyo. So until when I was 10 years old, I grew up in the suburb of Tokyo, and then I moved to Yokohama. And,
Yokohama.
That's my sort of home. That's my hometown, Yokohama. So I grew up in Yokohama.
Yes.
So that both Hakodate and Yokohama are port cities. So I feel very comfortable now working here in Sydney.
So they were both port cities. So does that mean that you had really good seafood there?
Indeed, I think Hakodate is very famous for Asaichi, the morning market. So I went there before, I think some time ago, and it's a good experience to go to the morning some fish market, and you really enjoy nice fresh seafood over there. Well, the same here in Sydney, I must say.
I'm glad to hear that we have the same quality of seafood in Australia as well. So going back to leaving Hakodate and going back to Yokohama, I'm sorry, I'm really not that strong with Japanese geography. How far away is Yokohama from Tokyo?
It's about, it depends on where in Yokohama. Yokohama is a big city, but between central Tokyo to central Yokohama, it's about 30 minutes by train. So it's not far, but from Yokohama, yes, it's from Yokohama Station back to my home, where I used to live. It took me about 1 hour. So 30 minutes
1 hour.
Ride, yeah, 30 minutes train line and 20-30 minutes walk. So I mean 50 minutes I would say. So I like many others, I commuted when I was a university student. I commuted to the university, spending 2 hours to get there, and then it took another 2 hours to go back home. So commuting was that a very big problem, and it still is for many people.
Wow, 2 hours one way, and then another 2 hours to go back to attend your university.
Yeah. I read books, I listened to Walkman, and I sort of enjoyed as a university student. And besides, Yokohama is close to Kamakura. It's an old capital, and it's a nice place. So yes, so life in Japan is quite. I think it's different, but I'm quite sure that once you go there, you enjoy the city center as well as the countryside.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you there. Having lived in Japan myself, I've had a lot of experience sort of being in Osaka and Tokyo and, experiencing that big city sort of lifestyle and the shopping. And then as soon as you go about 30 minutes out, suddenly you get that beautiful countryside. It's such a stark contrast.
It's Satoyama, that the nature, mountains, and some houses and some paddy hills. It's not the pure nature only, but people with nature. I think living in harmoniously. That's I think the character of the Japanese countryside. I would explain that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thought. That harmony between nature and people. Hopefully we can bring some more of that harmony into the city as well.
Well, thanks for asking those questions, because in most cases, whenever I appear in front of the Australian audience or Japanese audience here in Sydney, I talk about work, so business, or some culture exchange, but not quite about myself. So it's not common opportunity. Yeah. Thank you.
No, I'm being super happy to talk to you and learn a little bit more about yourself and your background, and I'm sure our audience members who are here today, we're really interested to learn a little bit more about you as well.
Thank you. So I write. You may know that I'm writing the newsletters on many things. So whatever I think, work, I think I like to really let people know about the latest development of Japan-Australia relations. So I hope many would read and understand my work, but my personal background is as I just explained. Yeah.
Wonderful. So before we wrap up today, Consul General, is there anything that you would like to share personally with our audience today? Or a key message that you want to get out there?
Key message is thank you. I mean, the audience. First and foremost, I'm very glad that many people are watching. Not many, but that you are watching. I thank you. So that's the biggest message. So thank you for sparing time for us to get to know more about our Consulate-General. So another key message, in addition to thank you, is to get to know Japan, to enrich your life. So many of you may know, you may be Japanese, or you may be Australian. I think whatever much or little about you know about Japan, I think that additional knowledge and experience will enrich your life. So I'm really hoping that you could keep in touch with our concept activities to get in touch with various aspects of the Japanese culture, society, economy, and security. to stimulate your thinking and enrich your life. So that's what I would like to do, and that's what I want you to do.
Yes, now that's a fantastic key message to put out there. Get to know more about Japan to enrich your life. I wholeheartedly agree. And even as someone who has lived there for a total of 3 years myself, there is still so much that I don't know about Japan, and I can't wait to explore and learn more about. And that's what I'm really hoping that we get to do on this series, is continue to learn more about Japan.
So yes, we are running this JET program. I think you are on JET program to stay in Japan, live in Japan, and so I hope that we could I like to provide us as many good opportunities as possible, so that more and more Australians will have an experience about Japan in many ways, including food.
Including food, yes. Food is very important. Everyone loves food.
Yes.
So yes. Anyway, Consul General, I think we're going to have to wrap up for today. So thank you so much for joining me. It was fantastic to talk with you.
Thank you, Jess, and I thank the audience as well. Thank you very much for watching us.
All right, well, myself and everyone else who is there, let's all give our Consul-General KIYA Masahiko a wave to say thank you and goodbye. Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that's all for our very first episode of J-Syd InstaLive. The next episode is going to be airing on July 31st, same time, same place, right here on Instagram. So I hope that you will tune in for the next one. Don't miss it. See you later.